folks, thanks for tuning in. Very quick one today, some good news if you're on the side of truth and fighting the good fight. As you may know, Mr. Attwood filed a false copyright strike against the Daddygate podcast channel, which is my joint channel with Wheezy from the What is Truth podcast channel. And Wheezy's What is Truth podcast also got a false strike filed against it by Sean Attwood recently, a false copyright strike. And I feel confident in calling them false copyright strikes because they've been overturned by YouTube, and the reason that they've been overturned by YouTube is because Mr. Attwood did not defend his strikes when counter notices were filed against him. The false copyright strikes were filed in tandem with other strikes which appear spurious by Mr. Attwood's cameraman, a wedding photographer who edited the video in which Mr. Attwood had his trousers unzipped by an autistic abuse victim dressed as a little girl, an Attwood podcast guest no less. So this cameraman also joined in and started filing strikes against Wheezy recently. So multiple strikes were filed by both of these men in an attempt to remove Wheezy's channel from YouTube. With Wheezy being one of the most vocal critics of Mr. Attwood on the internet, it's not hard to see what's going on. I don't know whether the cameraman is actually going to go to court to defend his strikes. That's not yet concluded, so I'm not going to talk about it just now, but an update on that and other behaviour will soon be given. But what I wanted to point out today is that this basically proves once and for all that Mr. Attwood is not Mr. Untouchable. Mr. Attwood tries to be a bully, and every single thing he does in that vein is going to come to light in one way or another. Issuing false strikes, which are legal documents targeting a small user for clear fair use material, is just one bully tactic. And anyone that's prepared to use bully tactics clearly pictures themselves in a position of power over the other person. Mr. Attwood is not in a position of power over any of us. He should do a little bit more yoga meditation and he might grasp that. And the more people that start to understand that he doesn't have power over any of us, the better. It should be abundantly clear because YouTube has not only reversed the false strikes that Mr. Attwood filed against Wheezy, but they've also reinstated Wheezy's videos, which are highly critical of Mr. Attwood. So YouTube has reinstated those videos, which is part of the DMCA system. It proves that Wheezy owns the copyright to those videos. It seems that Mr. Attwood's only claim to power is a large subscriber count, and that is clearly more of a curse than a blessing when someone carries on the way that he does. And it means nothing off YouTube. He seems to forget that he's not one of the elites that he claims to expose. He forgets that he has to act properly and legally, and that the law will not favour him just because he's got over 500,000 subscribers. YouTube is filled with crawling sycophants who do seem to believe this and who are prepared to look the other way just because he's got a big subscriber count, but the police and the courts will not care. That will not be taken into consideration. And if he and his lumbering sidekicks and goons keep trying to take things further and further into that direction, then bring it on. Because you're dealing with law-abiding citizens, and the more you keep putting intimidation attempts in writing, the more wonderful the picture gets. And for all the people out there who were laughing from the sidelines, who wanted to see another creator fall rather than supporting the side of truth and fairness, all of those former friends that called Wheezy a pussy for not defending the first strike months ago, and all the people that said creators have absolutely no right to use other people's content for criticism and commentary, you were all speaking rubbish. You were all told you were wrong at the time, and you've been proven wrong now, because YouTube has reinstated Wheezy's videos. So your credibility is shot. Every person who publicly and forcefully stated that Wheezy was in the wrong, your credibility is now shot. So good on Wheezy for going ahead with filing these counter notices. It isn't an easy thing to do. You do need to be ready to defend yourself in court. You do need to take legal advice if you want to do it properly, which does cost money. And you do need to put yourself at risk. And Wheezy's done all that, and he's got a win for fair use. And he's got a win for all of us little creators and anyone else that wants to make a video talking about Sean Attwood, which happens to use some of his content in order to criticise him. Even the people that wanted to see Wheezy destroyed will benefit from knowing this. I just wanted to say that. It's a super short video. I haven't really got time to do much editing, unfortunately, but I did want to say all this, and I also want to say that I appreciate Wheezy stepping up like this to defend the strike against the Daddygate podcast channel as well, because it's no small thing, so I do really appreciate it. And Wheezy will be covering it tonight on the Winning stream on the What Is Truth channel. He has all the details, obviously, more details than I have, so don't miss that. I'll put a link down below. Something tells me it will be a big show, so definitely tune in for that. Cheers, folks.